Hey friends, I thought I would just do a video on some thoughts that I was having about 4th of July this year in particular. I know that usually it's pretty standard for us white people to be celebrating 4th of July by, getting together with our family and friends, barbecuing, swimming, just going to the lake and having a nice summer day. But the last few years since I've lived in Portland, that's been a little bit different. I've mostly celebrated one of my really dear friends' birthdays, whose birthday is today, and we usually, do something for her birthday and have a lot of fun together. But honestly, this year, we're not celebrating her birthday, or at least not in person with her, so it looks a lot different, and trying to figure out what our day looks like, especially because it's a typical Saturday anyways, and very likely that we will still see some friends today, but anyways, so the biggest thing that I wanted to say though is that this year for the 4th of July, I've really reflected on a lot of things that I've never reflected on before when it came to 4th of July. I've never been a big celebrator of holidays since I've been an adult really anyways, because I a lot of the time work on holidays, so it's just like another day to me. But this year in particular, I was really thinking about like what 4th of July means, what does Independence Day actually mean for us, and it's kind of fucked up actually, because Independence Day really is just for us white people that left Europe because we felt like there was persecution there about religious beliefs specifically, and that was a big reason why we came to the United States anyways. But when we got here as white people, we enslaved, we murdered, we raped, we did horrendous things to Native people that lived here already on this land, and we put them into, or Native people into areas that are just not even suitable for living even in today's world. Very much swampland, not, fruitious for them to build gardens and be able to farm like they used to do, and what they depended on, for food, because us white people thought that we should have that land because we discovered this world, and so that's what we needed to do. And that's really it's our day of celebration of independence is actually enslaving people that were here before we were. And so why are we celebrating a day in this country of people that we murdered, killed, and raped, or I should say murdered and raped and enslaved? And one from even where I grew up, we learned about Little Crow, and he was the leader of the Dakota tribe during the U.S. Dakota War in 1842, I believe. And I just remember the only thing that we ever learned about him was that he was shot and killed by some white people, but we never know who it was or what exactly happened or anything like that. And there's a plaque, of course, in my hometown for remembrance of him and all of those different things, but really didn't know any of that history. And today it's very interesting because a Facebook friend had posted about Little Crow specifically, and how he was shot and killed by two white people while he was just picking berries with his children, and how that's just fucked up that we never learned about that, and the horrendous history of where I grew up, and that even though they touched on it and felt like that was enough for us to really understand where we lived, it truly wasn't, and that should have been talked about even more throughout schooling than what we just talked about in elementary school, because that was just in elementary school. We toured and talked about our hometown's history, and then in addition to that, it's something that we're not done with this Black Lives Matter movement and revolution, and we're keeping the momentum going with that. And that is another reason why 4th of July is a fucked up holiday, because people that we're celebrating today, again, are just white people and not black people that we enslaved from Africa and murdered and raped as well. And they didn't get to celebrate 4th of July in the same way that we did as white people, even when this was deemed back in, the 1700s as a holiday, or a day of freedom at least. And I would say, a big thing to look at today and read is something that I just learned about this week. And I can't believe that I've never heard of this prior to, this week, but I'm just really thankful for all the resources that people are putting out these days to help one another really understand, things that we should be learning about in this world right now, especially. And that, specific speech that I learned about this week is by Frederick Douglass, and he was a black person who lived in the North, or he was able to go to the North to go to college. He was one of the only black people during the time of major enslavement of black people that he was able to be someone to go to college and get a college education. And so he wrote this speech, and he presented it on the 4th of July. I wish I could remember the year, but I'm sorry, I don't have that in my memory at this time. And what the title of the speech is called is, "What does 4th of July mean for, or what does the slave," hold on, let me get the right title. That's really important. All right, I'm back. So it's called "What to the Slave is the 4th of July." And I would highly suggest that you read through it a few different times, because there's a lot of, unpacking of what each sentence and each word choice that he used means. And it's just phenomenal. And I don't want to go into it too much, because the importance is that you go and read it right as soon as possible, because you really need to understand, what was it like for black people, especially in this time where we had this so-called freedom. And it's just very interesting just to use the word freedom, and what people are kind of looking at these days, and what sense of freedom people have, of just individually, as a group or community sense, or whatever that may be. And I don't know. I don't know what I wanted to say past that, but this is really the time to look within, and that we really understand and break down those old ideas that we've had in the past. And I know I've said this in past videos, but I just want to reiterate that every single time, because, it's a time for growth for a lot of us. And, even if you have been growing, years before this, it doesn't mean that this growth has stopped for you. And so please continue doing research, reading up, really reflecting on these holidays that others celebrate, or that we used to celebrate so fondly in the past, and see why is it this year that I'm going to change, or what am I going to change to celebrate this holiday? Is it even going to be a celebration anymore? Is it going to just be me learning and educating myself and talking to other people about the problematics of this holiday? And how do we make it more normalized that we talk about holidays that we've always known as something to be celebratory and joyous, and talk about it with people to have them reconsider why they're celebrating as well. Make this really a revolutionary change across the board, and celebrate holidays that actually should be celebrated moving forward, not these stupid holidays that we're just told that because we get it off on the calendar at work or whatever it may be, that we really, dive deep into what these mean and what it means for everybody that lives in the country that we live in. And I hope that today you've taken some time to really consider what you are celebrating today, if you are celebrating, or are you taking the day to learn and educate yourself and educate other people. And I'd love to know what it is that you are educating yourself about right now, or what you have shared with other people, because this again is a forum of people, or a forum of community, where we can talk and discuss these things openly, and make room for errors, and knowing that that's part of this change that we need to have to be able to be better in this society. So please comment down below anything that you want to share with our community, and please, again, look into the history of today. What does it mean for everyone in our community, and make the changes that you need to as a person, as a citizen of the United States, to make this place a more educated and better one for everyone. Thanks. Bye.